Thank you, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your courtesy, and thank you, Ms. Hageman and Ms. Hoyle, for being here and for your testimony. I appreciate you all coming before the Rules Committee. Ms. Hageman, I thought I want to perhaps spend a bit of time unpacking some of the conversation you just had with Mr. Norman. We both represent Western states, Rocky Mountain West, of course, from congressional neighbors, if you will. I represent northwestern Colorado, as you know, a long border with Wyoming. And I understand that you held a town hall pretty recently in Wyoming. I don't know if
10 of them.
What was that?
10.
10 of them.
Town halls.
So I am curious, so you've held a lot of them, way more than a lot of your colleagues on that side of the aisle, I will say. So I appreciate that. I've held 10 as well in my district. But I'm wondering, what are you hearing at those town halls? What do folks... I mean, just give us a sense of the flavor of what folks are concerned about in the state of Wyoming.
Welcome back, patriots. This is Conservative Chronicle, where we speak the truth without apology and stand up for the American values that built this great nation. Now, today, oh boy, we got one to talk about. Did you all catch that heated exchange in the House Rules Committee? Yeah, the one where Colorado Democrat Joe Neguse tried to grill Wyoming Congresswoman Harriet Hageman over a bill to rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Let's get into it. Now, first off, let's be clear. What happened in that room wasn't a serious policy discussion. It was a political ambush. Representative Hageman was doing her job, bringing attention to a symbolic but meaningful issue for her constituents, and Joe Neguse turned it into a mockery. Why? Because he can't fathom that Americans outside his liberal bubble still care about pride, patriotism, and the legacy of our country.
They're concerned about energy production, making sure that we get back to energy independence, which is part of the reason why I think it's so important to rename this to Gulf of America in light of the amount of production. It accounts for about 15% of our oil and gas production in the country. So that's one of the big issues that you hear wherever you go, whether you're in town halls or meetings, is the importance of protecting our energy industry. I hear a lot about ensuring that we are implementing the agenda and the policies that Donald Trump ran on.
Okay.
This being one of them. I think people are,
so wait,
again,
Can I just ask you a question on that? Let me just make sure, because I understood the first part. You said energy dominance, protecting the energy industry is something you hear from folks that you represent in Wyoming, and I appreciate that. And then you said implementing President Trump's policies. So you're saying that there are people at your town halls who are demanding that you rename the Gulf of Mexico?
I think it's across the entire board.
Has that come up at any of your town halls?
Actually, it has.
It has?
Yes, and it's also come up in the meetings
The
that I've
people
had
of
with
Wyoming
people.
were demanding that you rename the Gulf of Mexico?
See, you use the word demand.
Oh,
Very
asking.
few people come to me and
Imploring.
demand anything.
Well, I guess
What people say is that they want us to implement the agenda that Donald Trump
that
ran on.
includes
And this
renaming
is
the
one
Gulf
of
of
them,
Mexico?
Because it has to do with pride in America
and
what America stands
Representative,
for.
I would just simply say,
Well, you can argue with me as
I'm
much
not,
as
it's not
you'd
about an
like
argument.
to.
I would love to attend one of the,
I would
guess
welcome you to attend one
I
of
am
my town
asking you an
halls.
honest question, and you're welcome to answer it any way you'd like. You're telling me in this committee that at one of your town halls,
I have said at my town halls
let me
and
finish my
meetings,
question.
At
You'll have
town
an
halls and my meetings.
You'll have an opportunity to answer. Let me
Okay.
finish my question. You've held 10 town halls
Yes.
across Wyoming.
Yes.
And at those town halls, Wyoming residents, constituents have said to you, I would like you to rename the Gulf of Mexico. Has that happened?
Yes.
That has happened?
At the meetings that I have held, as I have said to you repeatedly now, I not only am holding town halls, I'm holding meetings with my constituents.
Sure.
The entire agenda that President Trump ran on, they've talked to me about no taxes on tips.
That's not,
They
I'm
have
not
talked
asking
to
you about no
me-
taxes
they
on
have talked
tips.
to me. They have
That's
talked
not
to
the
me
bill that
about
you're here testifying
renaming
about.
the Gulf
The
of
bill-
America. They have talked to me about the oil and gas development
Well,
that we have down there.
I
They have
think
talked
it's a
about
shame.
exporting energy out of the
I'll
Gulf
reclaim
of
my time
America.
because I think it's a shame.
And I would.
So you're calling me,
would
I
remind-
think what you're
hang
saying
on.
is you don't believe what I'm
Hang on.
saying.
I'm
Hang
saying
on,
that
hang on.
I would love to come to a town hall, and so I'll certainly look forward to, what we may do is, we may just consider doing a town hall in Wyoming myself so that I can get a better sense from Republicans, Democrats,
You're welcome.
unaffiliated people of Wyoming as to what their priorities are. My sense is, I'm not disagreeing with you that there are many folks in Wyoming who believe that the Congress ought to be pursuing policies that President Trump supports. What I am suggesting is that I find it a little bit unbelievable that of all the issues that the American people are dealing with, that my constituents are dealing with, that your constituents are dealing with, that at these town halls, renaming the Gulf of Mexico was a top priority. I suspect that
One
the
of
people
the-
of your
one of
state,
the things
I'm
that
not
you're
done
ignoring-
talking. You'll have an opportunity to respond. I don't believe that the people in your state, nor the people in mine, would identify renaming the Gulf of Mexico as their top priority. And I find it absurd that we have to engage in this discussion to act as though this is anything but abnormal, that this is sort of just regular order, that yes, in the first 4 months of the 119th Congress, the Republican majority has decided that this is so important that we ought to take floor time to rename the Gulf of Mexico, notwithstanding all of the other policies that I suspect many of your supporters, many of the citizens that you represent are passionate about. I find that hard to believe. And apparently I'm the only one, or at least you and I disagree about this, but I suspect my colleagues maybe on this side of the aisle concur in that assessment. But in any event, I am happy to give you an opportunity to respond. And
So one of the things, Mr. Neguse, that you are ignoring is the fact that the state of Wyoming and my constituents in Wyoming have a very close connection to the Gulf of America because we are one of the largest energy producers in the nation. We are the largest coal producer. We're the eighth largest oil and gas producer. Our resources, our oil and gas and coal are actually exported out of the Gulf of America. So it is something that is at the forefront of the minds of the people in the state of Wyoming. I also want to point out one thing.
What does this bill do to help them?
I want to point out one other thing that you did, which is a very clever trick, which is that you asked me if I'd been asked any questions, and I told you that I had. And when you did your soliloquy there at the end, you accused me of being dishonest and disingenuous by then converting that to being the top priority. I didn't say that it was the top priority, but
Okay.
I did say that I was asked questions,
Okay.
and there has been discussions.
so let's
not
have this
only,
semantics
not
debate then.
only in the, not only in the meetings that I've held,
Okay.
but when I have met with people who actually have a direct connection to the Gulf of America. So I think what you're trying to imply is that Wyoming has no interest in the Gulf of America, when in fact the state of Wyoming, with our energy
Ms.
resources,
Hageman, have you
a
testified in
lot
front of this?
of
Okay,
interest
I've been
in
generous
the
with my
Gulf of
time.
America.
Have you testified in front of this committee yet this year? Is this your first time testifying in front of this committee?
Probably this year, but not last year. No,
No,
I've
I'm
testified
asking you
before.
this year. I'm saying in the last 4 months, since the 119th Congress has
I think
started,
so.
this is your first time testifying,
I
right?
think so.
You're chairwoman of the Water, Fisheries, and Wildlife Subcommittee, are you not?
Yes.
And this is the first bill that you have decided to present to this committee on behalf of the state that you serve. So this notion, I'm saying to you, whether you or the Republican majority have picked this as a priority is besides the point. Clearly, this is what you all have decided to spend your time on in the opening months of the 119th Congress. Maybe that's what the people of, I guess, is what you're testifying to today, is that the people of Wyoming expect that from you and they support that. I can certainly tell you that in Colorado, of all of the issues that are important to the residents of my state, Gulf of America renaming does not crack the top 3, the top 10 of issues that my constituents care about. You clearly feel differently. That's your prerogative. I'll yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman yields back. Now recognize the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Roy, for his time questioning.
Let me ask you, patriots, how many of you are tired of watching our country's symbols, traditions, and heritage get torn down, rebranded, or dismissed like they're offensive relics? Because I sure am. Renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America isn't just about geography, it's about reclaiming our national pride. It's about sending a message to the world and to our citizens that America comes first. And here's the part the left doesn't get. Wyoming, yeah. Landlocked Wyoming is directly tied to the Gulf because that's where their energy exports go. That's where their hardworking oil, gas, and coal are shipped out to keep this nation running. So when Congresswoman Hageman says her constituents care about the Gulf, she's right. It's called federalism. States are connected in ways these elitist DC types don't understand or respect. But Joe Neguse, he was more interested in playing gotcha politics. He asked the same question a dozen times, trying to trap Hageman into admitting something she never said. She never claimed it was a #1 issue, folks. She said it came up, and that's honest representation. That's doing your job. Meanwhile, what's Neguse doing? Grandstanding. He thinks Congress spending time on anything related to national identity is absurd. You know what's absurd, Joe? Ignoring the American people who are sick and tired of watching this country get sold out to globalists and bureaucrats. Make no mistake, this is bigger than a name change. This is about who controls the narrative. The left wants you to believe that oil and gas producers are the enemy, that traditional American symbols are outdated, and that anyone who disagrees is some kind of extremist. Well, guess what? Millions of Americans, real Americans, are done being silent. Renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America is a symbolic step in reclaiming our national identity. It's about recognizing that the American people, not foreign interests, power this nation. And if Democrats like Joe Neguse think that's laughable, maybe it's time they take a long, hard look at who they really represent. Now, let's talk about priorities. Neguse mocked Hageman for bringing this bill forward as her first appearance in the committee. But where was his bill? What's he doing to defend American jobs? American energy? American values? Oh, right, nothing but talking points and political theater. Meanwhile, Hageman's working to restore energy independence, reduce taxes, and yes, bring some pride back to our geography. Last I checked, that's called leadership. And whether or not the bill passes, it sends a message. This country belongs to U.S., not some international bureaucracy. To the patriots watching this, don't let the left shame you for caring about this country. Don't let them act like your concerns are absurd. If it matters to you, it matters. If it matters to your community, it should matter in Congress. And thank God we have representatives like Harriet Hageman who are still willing to stand up, take the heat, and fight for what they believe in. So what do you think? Should we rename the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America? Is it time we brought back pride to our borders and stopped apologizing for loving our country? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more no-nonsense takes from a proud American perspective. Until next time, stay strong, stay free, and God bless the United States of America